spread it out there. Our lovely Vanna White. You take one. We'll all have them by the time the service is over. Well, a good friend of mine decided to start an exercise program. How many of you have ever done that before in your life? Before starting, though, she checked it out with her doctor. They always tell you to check with your doctor first to make sure it's safe, right? And then she decided she was going to start a walking program. And so she asked her doctor, well, how many days a week should I walk? And her doctor said, how many days a week do you eat? I don't know about you, but that's sure how I was raised. The good old Protestant work ethic. Everyone should do their part. There is no free lunch. I later learned that that doesn't mean you have to do it all yourself or that you have to work yourself to death. It also doesn't mean that if you can no longer work for money, you have no purpose in life. We are so much like this puzzle. And Deb brought this puzzle in for us. We each have a part to play, and we each have a piece to add to God's big picture. We don't have to save the whole world, but neither can we sit by and do nothing. Seems like pretty solid advice. Last week I preached on my favorite prayer, which is the Serenity Prayer. This week I will share the prayer that I say most every day, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed by the needs of the world. I simply say, Lord, help me to be of use to someone today. Because isn't that about the most we can ask for on any given day? Well, when I had to give the theme for this day, I wrote it on the worship sheet that we fill out each week, and I wrote down to be of use, because that is the name of one of my favorite poems by Marge Piercy. And sure enough, our all-knowing office manager, where is she? I think she's over on this side somewhere, Linda, wrote a line from that poem on the front of our bulletin today, without even knowing. One of the stanzas of this poem says, I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move hinges forward, who do what has to be done again and again. Thank God for the heavy lifters and people that set up the coffee pots before meetings, right? Thank God for the people who can no longer see well enough to read, but take time to sit with someone who needs somebody to listen to them. Thank God for all of you who show up every Sunday morning. Thank God for Tina. Where's Tina? There's Tina, who showed up yesterday to share with 22 people everything she has learned about overcoming fear. And for Jim, who spread out the feast for them. Thanks to the dozens of people who show up every Sunday so that church happens. From the guys in the sound room, to the food servers, to the musicians, to Deb and Bob who plan worship, to the special teachers who work with our children, to all you who sing and pray and collect offering and mop up coffee when it spills, and to all you huggers, especially thanks for all the huggers. John Wesley, who was the founder of Methodism, wrote hundreds of thousands of words and hundreds and thousands of, well, not hundreds and thousands of books, but many books and many sermons. But when it came right down to it, he put it very simply. He said there are 3 simple rules. First, number 1, do no harm. Number 2, do good. Number 3, stay in love with God. In other words, just do the next right thing. If you want to know what that looks like, just look around you at people who are doing the next right thing. This week, I received a wonderful email from Manette, who's over there. Stand up, Manette. And she titled her email, Everyday Miracles. I was looking for examples of what it looks like to do the next right thing, and then her letter arrived. That happens all the time. She gave me permission to share part of it, and I'm having to cut it back a whole lot, so I apologize for not doing it justice. But she entitled her email, Everyday Miracles. Good morning, Pastor Martha, she said. I wanted to share a particular miracle I recently experienced. Some of us think that miracles have to be huge, gigantic, and profound, like some magical healing or extraordinary events that can't be explained. Well, that's exactly what happened this last Wednesday. Something I thought I couldn't explain. She actually, before she told about this miracle, she described 3 other miracles that happened that morning before this one came along. And I won't go into them, but first she ran out of coffee. Then, when she was in the shower, her beautiful toddler Joy put thick viscous cream all over her face. And then she got a really nasty text. But after each of these, she paused and she remembered John McDougall's good advice when he said, problem, solution. And she did just that, problem, solution. And then she got the big miracle of the day. She says, last Wednesday was a very, very important day. You see, Michaela's volleyball banquet was to be held at 6 p.m. Michaela's her daughter, sitting right next to her there. Yes. Manette was scheduled to work from 1 to 9 that day, and she asked everyone to fill in for her, except her assistant manager, who leaves every Wednesday at 3:15 for another job. It's Michaela's senior year. Congratulations, Michaela. And her last banquet, and Manette just had to be there. She had never done it, and it was totally against company policy, but if she had to, she was prepared to close the doors during business hours. Looking back, she said she felt a particular calm that day, the whole afternoon. And at 2:30, her assistant manager told Manette that a really strange thing had happened. She'd received a strange call from her other job saying they didn't need her that day. This had not happened in 2 years. She asked Manette if she would like her to stay, and Manette said, I cannot tell you how excited I was. And I said, actually, yes, and let me tell you why. And she goes on to say, some would say that this happened for no particular reason, but to me, it happened for a very particular reason. God stepped in and said, I got this, my child. I got this. I truly believe that when I choose to be whom God calls me to be, things work out. Today I am choosing to respond and not react. I listen to those around me. I use their suggestions in my daily routine, including John McDougall's problem, solution, and her sponsors, Where is God in this? She said, last week you said something about God's grace. That's exactly what happened. I received God's grace. Being able to attend Michaela's special event on Wednesday was truly a miracle by God's design. I am so grateful today that I have the ability to see those everyday miracles and to thank Him. On this particular day, it all fell into place. Tomorrow's another day, and I need not worry about it. Just for today, I continue to receive God's grace. Pretty good advice. Just for today, may we each play our little part in God's big picture. I invite you to take, when you come for communion, a piece of the puzzle and think this week, what is your piece of the puzzle? What is that next right thing that you're going to do? And maybe take a few extras for those who can't be here today to remind them that they are a part of this picture of grace as well. Thanks be to God. Amen.